All right, it's time now for the Fine Five, Ugly Five, 5 best, 5 worst teams. These will be the 5 best teams and the 5 worst teams this year. This one was kind of hard, man. 5 worst teams was really tough.
Yeah, no doubt. A couple easy ones, but it did get tough towards, 5, 4. You had to think a little bit.
Fine Five, Ugly Five, brought to you by GMS Law. Make the right call. 4 convenient locations to serve you online, gmslaw.com. All right, 5 best, 5 worst. Let's go with the Ugly Five. Number 5, who do you got?
I have the Bengals. I'm not ready to, what they did last year was so bad. And getting Joe Burrow, I think he's going to have a lot to learn. I do. He's not just going to step into this league and then now the Bengals are some dominating force. I think they're going to have another year of being a really ugly football team, but they'll be headed in the right direction with Joe Burrow.
They have a lot of injuries last year, too. I mean, they obviously lost A.J. Green all year, so I thought they had some injury problems. They've added some weapons. I don't have them in my Ugly Five, but number 5, I'm going Detroit. I know people might say, wait, what? I mean, Stafford got hurt last year, too. I thought that was one of the reasons why but they won 3 games last year.
Who was their quarterback? Dougal? Or no, what was his name?
I bet you John Clayton would know.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking of what they actually had to deal with once Matthew Stafford went down last year.
Yeah, they're a
goofy guy that came out of nowhere. I think he played at Purdue, if I remember correctly.
Their quarterback play was just so bad. And look, I think Stafford is very good.
David Blough was his name.
Blough.
Yeah. That's right. Blough.
Easy there.
Yep. That's awesome. He was fun to watch out there.
That team just gives me nothing. They brought, they got a lot of running backs. I mean, I just think that, I don't know. I don't love Patricia as the head coach there either.
See, it's interesting because I actually like Matthew Stafford. I just think it's unfortunate
I like
he's
Stafford
stuck
too.
in there.
And they would have won more than
atmosphere.
3 games had he not got hurt.
That's true.
But I still think that they got nothing that excites me.
All right. My number...
Going Detroit, number 5.
Oh, whoops. That's your number 5?
Yep.
That's awkward. I gave you my number 1.
Yeah, I said number 5. Who's your Ugly 5? Number 5.
This is awkward. My number 5 is the Giants.
So your worst team is the Bengals?
Yeah.
All right.
My number 5 is the Giants.
Gotcha.
I don't think they're ready to go. The Joe Judge... I'm not buying the Joe Judge thing. I think he's going to be a
I don't know. I know a lot of Giant fans who are loving this guy.
Well, sure, because it's like this new atmosphere of they're changing the pace and he's a Bill Belichick guy. Stop it. That'll run dry real quick. My number 5 is the Giants.
Well, I got the Giants at number 4. I think Jones, I just look at Jones as a good, the ceiling for Jones to me seems like he's good, not great. He's just okay, but not we got Daniel Jones. I don't think he's going to be rotten. I think he's just that middle-of-the-road guy.
I couldn't agree more. And
I think they got a lot of problems, though, on the defensive side of the ball still that they still need fixed. Look, this is a team last year that still only won 4 games. So,
no, I agree with you. I think defensively it's a big-time issue. And they just cut DeAndre Baker, who they took high in the draft, right? So they're pulling the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're getting rid of some guys that they drafted with some expectations, and they're no longer going to be in the organization, which is it's a pretty big cut to get rid of him already.
Yeah.
So they do have some problems without a doubt.
But yeah, I mean, I think that team. I'm not saying that they're going to be absolutely dreadful, in terms of not competitive. Their record just might not be very good.
I think that's fair to say. They'll be in games. They'll be fight until the end, but maybe at the end of the third quarter or so,
their defense
they run
is
out
still
of steam.
not good enough.
I know. It's a big-time issue. All right, for my number 4, we're going to stay in New York. We're going to go with the Jets. I don't believe in the head coach. I think that this guy is nuts, and I don't know why they're holding on to him. Now, they brought in Joe Douglas, and, of course, there's the tie from here to there. People think that he had a lot of say in some picks that happened here in Philadelphia that leaves some intrigue, but with the Jets, I don't know what to believe in Sam Darnold yet. What is he? Who is he? What type of quarterback can he be? Is he a guy that can go out there? Would you rather have Daniel Jones or Sam Darnold? And the fact that that's even a question that could be considered is a problem for the New York Jets, in my opinion. So that tied together with Adam Gase, I don't feel comfortable in them going out there and winning a lot of football games.
Yeah, they won 7 games last year. I don't know how they did it.
Right? Isn't it crazy? They have Le'Veon Bell. I feel like they don't even utilize Le'Veon Bell as much as they probably should. They use him the right way.
They didn't make my Ugly 5. Number 3 for me, I'm going Washington, the Washington football team. I mean, Haskins, to me, I'm looking around, and when I look at these Ugly 5s, I go to quarterback. And Jones, I'm just not a huge believer in yet. Stafford's the best of the group here by far. But Haskins has so much to prove. You look around the league, Haskins has to be one of the most questionable starting quarterbacks. Now, he could prove me completely wrong, but going into this year, I think he's one of the biggest question mark starting quarterbacks in the league. They got a good up front. We know that on defense. They got a bad secondary. Their receiver position is just, McLaurin's a big playmaker, but they don't have a whole heck of a lot there. So I'll go Washington. They're going with like a committee running backs, of none of which anybody's heard of before. I mean, McKissick and this kid Gibson, who played wide receiver in college, are moving him to running back. So I go Washington number 3, but I definitely think they're going to be more competitive than they've been too.
My number 3 is the Jags. The Gardner Minshew story was fun. He had the cool mustache that made a lot of noise, but I don't think that he's someone that you could rely on to win football games. Plus, I just think from the top, like the very top of this organization, they are a mess. They have no clue what they're doing, and that results in what happens on the field. And, they're getting rid of, like, players, Yannick Ngakoue, and nobody wants to be there. And I think when you have people already feeling that way early in the season, it just snowballs into a dumpster fire. So I have no faith that they're going to be able to really do much.
Yeah, I got number 2 for me is the Chargers. The Chargers, who were not good last year with Rivers. Now you're going to Tyrod Taylor. What type of production do you get from the quarterback position? He's got Herbert breathing down his neck. So how long do they, does Taylor hold on to that job? To me, that's going to be a big storyline. If they get off to a slow start, then they hand things over to a rookie. They got a pretty tough schedule this year. They play in a pretty, they got to play the Chiefs. Denver's gotten better out there. So they run the ball pretty well, but they're going to need to because of the fact that their quarterback plays so. They won 7 games last year. I think they could possibly be a 3 to 4 win team this year.
I don't think that that's absolutely ridiculous. My number 2 is the Washington Redskins. You nailed it when you mentioned the quarterback. When you look at the quarterback and you go, what is this guy? And I say that in a different way than I say that about Sam Darnold. This is to an even bigger degree of who is this guy? And you have Ron Rivera there, who is going to, I think, do a good job with that defense, especially that defensive line, but I just don't think that that's going to be enough. And I sense that this Washington team, there's a lot of outside noise before the season even starts about what's going on with the ownership. How about the investigations that are happening involved with those individuals up at the top? I mean, that whole story is crazy. I think that there's just a bad odor around the organization as a whole that's going to...
And I like Rivera as the coach,
I do, too. I think it's an upgrade from what they've had, but still nowhere near enough for them to be out of my ugly 5.
And my number 1 is clear. It's Jacksonville. I mean, they're basically tanking. They're trying. They got rid of Foles. They're giving it to Minshew. Is he the answer at the quarterback spot? Probably not. I think they went to him because they didn't want to win football games. They let Ngakoue go. They let Fournette go. I mean, their schedule's kind of brutal as well. They play in a division that we have 3 teams that we like for playoff possibilities. I like the Titans. You like the Texans. John Clayton liked the Colts. That's the 4th team in there, so I think they have a tough road ahead of them. So I'm going to go Jacksonville. They are 250 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. It's the worst odds in the NFL.
Well, what happens is when they become hot and they're hot late on this season, you can go to Prop Swap and make sure you get yourself a nice little boost there,
Buy them now at 250 to 1. Try to sell that thing with Gardner Minshew and the mustache. All right. That's our ugly 5. Let's go over to the fine 5. These are the 5 best teams. Now, you usually start up and work your way to 1. You want to try to draw
No,
out
I understand.
like the thing.
See, I'm having a tough time here with going from the computer to the actual paper, and then I just get all over the place here. I did the same thing yesterday to an extent, and,
All right, number 5. Who do you got?
My number 5 is the 49ers. Now, I actually have them as a wild card team, but I think them and Seattle are going to be, really battling it up when it comes to that division. And they're going to be they're not going to be able to do what they did last year, I don't think. Now there's more tape. You saw the offensive creativity from Shanahan. Well, now all these NFL coaches can dive deeper into what exactly they did during that run, and maybe that slows them down a bit. On top of that, there's the emotional side. So I don't think they're going to be able to do exactly what they did last year, but with that being said, I still feel that they are a strong enough team to put together a really successful season and still be a top 5 team going into this.
Yeah, I got San Francisco as well. The big question, can they return to the Super Bowl? I think they're a little short of being there again. is Garoppolo going to have he had a very good year. People forget last year. I mean, he was excellent at times last year. Nick Bosa, does he take that next step? He had 9 sacks as a rookie. He had 16 in year 2. Can he get himself up to around 20? That defense is still really good. They've got a lot of, Kittle. I love the kid, Mostert.
Well, they're
so
going to get
much
McKinnon
speed
back, right?
on that team.
McKinnon was their running back before, and the whole injury happened in the preseason.
They have so much speed on that team, right? They have so much speed that on offense. But that's why, I have them in the top 5. I have them a notch down from where they were a season ago. So we'll see if they can get back to the Super Bowl. I think they fall short.
Me too.
Number 4.
Yep, my number 4 is actually Seattle. I think that they have, obviously, with Russell Wilson, you have a chance to win every single Sunday or Monday or Thursday. They have a chance to win every game. And if you get into the postseason, you have a guy who, if there's 2 minutes to go, he can make plays with his feet. He can make plays with his arm. He can do it. He has that gene, that clutch gene. And, of course, you need that to be a top team in this league. And with the defensive side of the ball, they have taken a big step in building that back. They had to break things up, and now they seem to form back together to have a powerful defense, which can change the outcome of games. So for me, they're my number 4.
Yeah, I went with Tampa at number 4. I talked about it yesterday. I have them win in the South. I think Brady's going to have a monster year. Evans, Gronk, Godwin. You heard what John Clayton said, the best receiving pair probably in the league. They're the best team in the run, in the league against the run. The one question is their secondary going to be able to hold up? They're not great against the pass. They're very young in the secondary, so I think that could be a big problem. You could have a lot of shootout games for them, but I just think Brady's on. I'm not betting against Brady, man. Not yet. And the reports have been he has looked great, and with those weapons, he's never had weapons. I don't know that he's ever had weapons like that. He had Moss for the 1 year. That was amazing. He had 50-some touchdowns that year. Now he's got Evans and Godwin and Gronk and 2 running backs. Shady McCoy's not in the mix.
When John Clayton said that, you didn't get all juiced up for little LaShawn McCoy?
No, but they're, now the one thing is that they're going to get off to a slow start with all these new pieces. They're going to turn into the Browns. Tom Brady isn't Baker Mayfield. He's not going to let this team turn into a sideshow circus.
Well, how many times have we seen the Patriots, after going on a Super Bowl run, the following season maybe start out 2-2, and everyone goes, oh, they don't look the same, and then out of nowhere, here goes a 6-0 stretch or a 6-1 stretch, and they're back at the top again. I mean, you see it all the time.
And I'm not usually the guy that buys into the hype train. Brady is different.
Brady is just different. It is funny, though, because you aren't the guy that gets sucked down the same road as some of the others. So I was surprised to see you, be this way about Tampa.
If they did everything else they did and signed Rivers, it wouldn't be the same.
Well, of course not, but I don't know. I just don't know if at his age, the way he looked last year where he had to spike the ball in the ground, because it's a different team, though, because there are different weapons, which changed a lot. My number 3 is the Saints. This might be the last year I feel this way about the Saints. I don't know how much time Drew Brees really has. And remember last year there was that thumb injury that happened, and he wasn't able to be healthy fully for the whole year. I just wonder how much time he has left. But for this season, I think I'm still believing it. You got Michael Thomas, Kamara, you know what they can do offensively. And when you play in that building, although what is the situation with that building when it comes to stands? I don't have that information off the top of my head if they're going to have a 25% or not in New Orleans. But that's a hell of a place to play in. It's a tough atmosphere. But it's just crazy that that's even a different element this year. Think about how much of that changes the whole conversation. Going into New Orleans on a Sunday night, and there's no one there compared to a packed barn, it's a difference maker in the outcome of the game.
No question. And my number 3 team is another team that, not having the 12th man in Seattle, how does that change things? I like Seattle, though, this year. The big question is, do they have a Super Bowl-level pass rush? You just heard what John Clayton said, talked about their secondary and the defense. They got Adams out there. I love what they've done on the defense side of the ball. I just wonder if they have a Super Bowl defense, if they can get that big sack. They don't really have that. They let Clowney go, but the offense, with Russell Wilson, love what he brings to the table. They have such great complement. They got Dunbar out there, too, on defense. To me right now, I have Seattle as the best team in the NFC, actually, to start the season off. They're number 3 in my Fine 5, and my next 2 teams are AFC contingent.
Mine are also AFC. My number 2, the Ravens. I think the Ravens, that defense is so unbelievable. And when you look at Lamar Jackson, how do you stop him? You know, I mean, you can game plan all you want, but when he has his legs moving as fast as he possibly can, how are you going to stop this man? And I think that he still hears a lot of criticism towards his game based off of what happened last season and how it did end, to the point where he seems to be in the right mindset. He has that drive of, I'm going to prove you wrong. From when he entered the league, from all the noise about him maybe playing wide receiver, and he said, what? I'm a quarterback. Going all the way back to that statement there's just something in his body that's triggered differently, to the point where he's there to prove everybody wrong, that his style will work. And I'm taking a big leap of faith in him taking that next step in his career based off of all of the surrounding storylines of what type of players win in this league.
I got Baltimore number 2 as well. I think they've basically, I think they got better from last year. They've added pieces. The quarterback is the reigning MVP. Do I think teams are going to approach him differently and maybe try to defend him differently? Yeah, but you know what? I think he's good enough to try to figure it out. I mean, he did not play great in that playoff game, but as the game went on, he was the one guy still keeping him in that thing. Even though he played poorly in the first half, he brought them back. I think that their defense is really good still. So I got Baltimore number 2 to start the season off in my Fine 5, and I think we both got Kansas City.
Yep, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. It's pretty crazy. Imagine having the hype. Remember when Zach Ertz said the other year, like, oh, this is the best roster we've ever had, and this was coming after the Super Bowl, and we got sucked into thinking, oh, they're going to do it again. Intensify that by, 8 or 9 times, and that's what this Chiefs team feels like. Who's going to take this Chiefs team down?
An injury, COVID.
All right, I guess that's very reasonable.
The election. Blame everything on the election.
I don't have a counter argument for that one. I got nothing.
Oh, man. All right, that's our Fine 5, Ugly 5. We'll do it every Wednesday. After week 1, some of these teams will be bouncing in and out. The best part about Fine 5, Ugly 5, it's such an impulsive thing. This team looked terrible. They're the worst team in the league. They're number 5.
That's what we do, though.
Yeah.
Maybe next time I'll read it properly in the right order.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, look, it's week 1. We barely got preseason. That's the problem. No preseason. I'm not
I know. They made it more
in
difficult.
the mindset.